Hi everyone, welcome back to the chapters. I have with me today TK Rapp and Miss Molly Barlowe. We're super excited for this video. This is video number 2. If you haven't already, be sure to go check the one we did a week, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks in the past, we did a video. Go check that one out. That one was good. So to start us off, TK Rapp is gonna ask the first question.
Hey Molly.
Hi.
So what's been going on with you?
I feel like nothing and everything because life just kind of is so normal right now. And at the same time, there's so many changes with the name change and everything like that. So it's kind of like, I feel like I'm in a whole new world while also still just going about my life writing. What about you? What's going on with you?
Just trying to get back to writing, just a little slow going. I don't have many excuses as to why not, but I'll try to find several.
It's always easy to try to find excuses.
Yeah.
So, Molly, what encouraged you to start writing? What's your story?
I have very vivid dreams. There was this one dream in particular that was bothering me so much that I thought about it all the time for probably a solid week or two. I would think about it my entire drive to work, which at the time I worked not too far from home, but during rush hour traffic in Austin, Texas, it was a good hour drive. Then I would just sit there all day thinking about it. Thankfully, at the time, I did not have a job that was very demanding. I kind of just sat there waiting for the phone to ring, which was like 3 times a day. So I just thought about it all the time. And I was like, I bet if I just wrote it out, I'd stop thinking about it, to get it out of my head. And then I ended up thinking about it more and more, like wondering, well, what would have happened if I hadn't woken up just yet? And then what was maybe happening in the dream before the dream began? And so I just kind of started expanding on it more and more until it was this really, really, really long dream that ended up being a book. But at the time, I actually did like 3 of those, had no idea that I was writing books at the time until one of them was done, which ended up being Taking Chances as Molly McAdams. And it was really long. It's like 140,000 words. And not once during that time I was like, I'm writing a book. I was just having like a lot of fun, just like bringing all these like different little elements to it. So yeah, I was never like that person where I really loved reading growing up and I like really enjoyed writing stories or anything like that. I never wanted to be a writer. I kind of just like fell into it this very unconventional way, I think.
Yeah, and Taking Chances. I remember so vividly the first time I read that book. My friend, she was like, I just read this book, you got to read it. And I was like reading it, in between picking up the kids from school. And I remember going to their school one day and I was a mess. I was like, what did you just make me read? Are you kidding me? And I remember messaging you after Stealing Harper. Even now, if I go back and open up that last bit, I will cry. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was brutal.
It was fun for me.
So speaking of Stealing Chances, which of your books are your absolute favorite? Like, which one was your favorite to write of all time?
You actually confused 2 books there because it's Taking Chances and Stealing Harper.
Oh my gosh, that's right, because I read both of them. I remember reading those and being like, they're so good.
I know, I'm like Stealing Chances.
There is one called Stealing Chances now, so Ash isn't technically wrong. I did like a reverse, or like an alternate universe kind of thing where he lives.
No.
So Ash is not wrong. There is a Stealing Chances now.
Point me.
Yeah.
But of your books, which was your absolute favorite to write?
I would have to say either Blackbird or Lie to Me, and it's because I got to do things. I wrote them, especially Lie to Me. I wrote them without like really telling people that I was writing them. Blackbird was something where people kind of knew that I was writing something. They didn't know what, because I was no longer with HarperCollins at the time. Like we had separated after a few years. So I was going back to being on my own. And I brought in a character who everyone just kind of figured was done. And it was something that you don't realize he's there until like 3/4 of the way through the book. And he's the main character this entire time. So it's kind of like this secret life type thing. And when I released that book, normally I release a book and I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in the corner and panic all day. I sat on Facebook, like refreshing my feed the whole day, waiting for that first person to be like, no way. And that was so fun for me. And then with Lie to Me, I wrote it for years just on the side. And it was just this passion project of mine. And I just dropped it without telling anyone. I was just like, hey, here. And it ended up being just like such a fun thing. And it was kind of like, it had started off as this, I forgot a brother in one of the books, the Forgiving Lies series. At the end, she had these twin girls, they were toddlers, and she was like hugely pregnant, about to give birth to this boy. And then so later on, like I did this thing like in the Taking Chances Forgiving Lies series, kind of combined them. And they're all older, the kids are all grown, and there's no brother, he just doesn't exist. So I totally forgot about him. And it became the same with my readers, like this, oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it's called now, but like we like had this whole thing for the missing brother. It was called He Was Overseas, because I was just like, oh yeah, he was on this like super top secret mission, and that's why he wasn't in the book. So it just this huge joke, like people made shirts for it and everything. So they like show up at signings. It was so fun. So I was just like, he's no longer overseas, here he is. And so I think that was probably to date, almost 12 years, like my favorite book.
Wow. So I know, you mentioned the Austin traffic, and I remember the first time that I met you. And I remember driving to meet you. I think we met at BJ's.
Yes, it was BJ's because
It was BJ's.
Oh,
And I remember, and it was the early days of like Apple Maps. And my mom was with me and the girls were with me. And I just remember looking at the phone and I was like, what is going on? And it just kept spinning around. And it was like, I'm texting going, I don't know where I am. We're on Mopac. And it was just like seriously going in circles. Yes. I think it took an hour to go 10 minutes.
Yes. And didn't somehow we end up in like a motel parking lot or like something?
Yes.
Like that?
You brought me back to the hotel. Yes, you're right. Because you and I ended up going to Starbucks. Because I think that's where you had sat and did a lot of writing. So we went and sat in there for a little bit. And then, yeah, you brought me back. And like to this day, we'll still like anytime I go to Austin, I kind of get like, anxiety going, oh my gosh, is it going to start spinning again?
Oh, that was fun. That was so long ago.
I know. This one here couldn't have been 10, maybe.
I do remember it, however.
She's like, I was there and I remember all of it. Yeah, it freaks me out when I see them because they're so old now.
I know. It's so, and your daughter, my gosh, I remember being at RT and seeing her and she was so stinking cute. Oh my gosh. There was RT in Dallas, wasn't it?
Yeah, we actually just had a picture pop up of that. She like had this like stuffed armadillo with her that we got at the hotel.
Oh my God.
But yeah, now she's 9 going on 13.
Yeah, they do that to you.
Yeah.
So what encouraged your name change?
So that has been a huge thing for close to 2 years now. It was August of 22. I just started getting very convicted in my faith. I grew up in the church, but I kind of started just not really falling away, but just not really being very active in my relationship with God. And so, yeah, I was like so convicted in what I was writing, and I was very much trying to ignore that conviction. And it got to this point where I just couldn't really write anymore. I had this one book that I'd been waiting to write for a very, very long time, and it was finally time to write that book. And by the time I got to it, I was like, I can't. Like, I would write a chapter and I would sob like every single day. Like I couldn't like see myself getting through it. And so I don't know, it was a very difficult time, and I was just trying to figure out like how I was supposed to continue doing this when it was so difficult for me to even fathom making it through each day of work. And so, I've gotten a lot of people who are very angry with me because they feel like I am judging people for writing and for reading, and in no way am I judging people at all. This is a personal conviction, personal battle. And so anyway, it just got to this point where I was like, okay, well, this is clearly something that I can't and keep doing. And it was everywhere. Like I was telling my husband, like I am seeing signs on like one of the teas that I buy. It had like these like little sayings on the tea bag, and I was like, I am seeing signs on my tea. And he goes, maybe you're just looking for signs. And I was like, no, I'm not. So I started taking pictures of all the tea bag things, and he goes, this is insane. It's everywhere. And I was like, I told you, it is literally everywhere. And so I finally got to this point where I was like, I will gladly give up everything just to do what I know I have to do. And that is, I have to completely live a different life. Like, because I knew I was living in the world instead of living for God. And so I could have changed what I was writing. I could have changed everything still as Molly McAdams. But I knew if someone had wanted to find a romance book that was closed door, not explicit, and they found one of my books and then went and started reading my backlist, that could have been upsetting for them. And so it was something that we had to kind of go back and forth on. Not me personally, I was ready to do it right away. I was like, let's go. And so this is like a months-long process to even just be able to say like, hey, I'm writing new things. And I'm still writing romance. It's just, changing the content within. So even getting to the point where I was allowed to announce that, it took months after I'd already made my decision. And then still it was kind of like no, but you have to keep Molly McAdams. And I was like, okay, fine. And then like a couple weeks later, I was like, look, no, I can't do that either. Like this is, if I'm going all in. And it was the thing I was warned, like, you can no longer display your listing titles. You are gonna lose all your readers. You're gonna lose everything. And I was like, cool, let's go. Like, I know what I have to do. And so yeah, it just felt like a whole like fresh new start. And I did lose almost all my readers, and I lost a lot of author friends in the process, which was very sad. But I started writing again in a way that like I have not written in a very long time, and I have not felt this free in a very long time. So
What are you most excited about moving forward with the new name change and the rebranding process?
I think what I'm most excited about is just the fact that I am just, I don't know if it's that I'm like super excited like with like the rebranding or anything like that. I'm just excited that I am not miserable anymore. It's just how it is. I was truly miserable, and I like that conviction was so strong. Again, I feel like sometimes when people are like, oh, I was crying all the time, and you never know if they're being serious. There was not a day like where I wasn't like truly just like sobbing. And so what I'm excited for is I am happier, and my family sees that. And so hopefully that also comes out across in across like with social media and stuff, and it will come across in my work. So like my books will still so much be the same. Like there's always emotional threads in my books, and that will be the same. So I feel like there isn't going to be like a massive change in what I'm doing other than what's on the page. Like there's not going to be like explicit content. I really think like what I'm just most excited about is just like what's personally happening with me. So, and again, I hope that people will see that.
And now that you have, again, so you've been writing for well over 10 years. I just realized the TKR's been writing for over half my life, and that was shocking to me. But now that you've had a chance to reflect on what you did, what you're going to do moving forward, now just a fun question. Who was your favorite character to write? Like, absolute, you loved writing this character.
Kieran Hayes, absolutely, hands down. He's my assassin in my Mafia series. Actually, I have a couple assassins, but he's my assassin. Like, I love him so much. And he's just, I think it's fun. First of all, I think it's fun writing Mafia. I think it's fun writing suspense because there's a lot less rules. And writing assassins even more so because they don't have that moral compass, They can just go and kill somebody. and that's a fun thing. Not whatever agency is listening, we're not going to kill people. But when you're writing it, that's a fun thing. Like they don't have that thing where they're just going to go and check themselves. They're going to act first and then maybe think about it later. And so he is a very fun character. I got to write him for 6 books, and it was supposed to be continuing later when I switched over to Barlowe. But I still would really like to go back there as Barlowe. It's I because I had finished the series out and it's supposed to be like another spin-off series, and so I would like to still do that spin-off series. I just need to figure out a way to. In my head, they are very explicit, so I need to figure out a way to make them not as explicit. But yeah, Kieran Hayes is definitely my favorite character to write ever.
Closed door reads. So like we have the group and we've got a lot of people sharing books that they're reading right now. Have you had a chance to read any of their recommendations?
I feel like there was one of them that I did read, but I have been so May is like really difficult for me because it's just like my chaos month. And before that I was so engrossed in this book that I'm reading or reading this book that I'm writing. Um I felt like I couldn't stop. Like I was, as soon as Kennedy left for school in the morning, I was just diving right into it. And then like my alarm would go off like, hey, she's coming home. And I was like, does she know I'm still writing? And so I try not to do anything when she's home. There are some days where she's like, hey, I'm just gonna go play by myself. And I'm like, that's great, I'm gonna read. But for whatever reason, there will be like weeks at a time where she wants to Velcro herself to me, and and so what she does, I want to be there with her, obviously. Like I don't want to just be like reading, even though I would really like to be reading. So I have, every time that someone has recommended it, I have downloaded it. So they are all sitting on my Kindle waiting to be read. And I have like committed this year to reading everything that's on my TBR or everything that I've already like bought that's in my house. So um, I'm almost completely caught up. I have like 2 more books in my house and everything on my Kindle is caught up. So I've downloaded everything that they've recommended. I'm waiting. But yeah, May is our chaos month and it ends this week. Even though May doesn't end this week, our chaos month ends this week. So I will be reading. Have you?
I have not read any of the recommendations yet. I just actually read The Women for a book club in the neighborhood,
Okay.
and it was good. It was really long. Well, so I did audiobook on that one because that helped. I was traveling to see the girls a lot, so listened to it in the car. It was good. That was a good one. But no, I have a really hard time reading while I'm writing.
Yeah,
Very
that
hard
makes
time with
sense.
that. So once I finish this book, then maybe I'll have some reading time. I mean, I had to keep Kindle Unlimited so she can have something to read because she reads all the time.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Thanks.
I do the same. I like having because everyone knows I really like fantasy and paranormal, and I think it's so good because it's so different from what I write. And so it's like one of those things that when I'm reading those, it's really easy for me to read while I'm writing because it in no way crosses over. But you're right, like what they've been recommending is on the more like contemporary end, and that would be something that would be difficult for me too. I would have to like then do kind of like a cleanse of something fantasy before I go back to writing. So yeah, I get that.
So now with about 6-ish minutes left with the recording, what is something you can give your readers as like a look forward to this, or maybe just kind of like, I don't know, something you would like to say to the viewers of the channel and your readers?
Mm. Okay, so I am a little over halfway done with this book. That is, I am the worst at titling books ever, and so I usually title them when they're done. Sorry. However, I'm a little over halfway done with this book, and I'm so obsessed with it. It is it's kind of like a, I don't know if it's really a boss employee. She's his nanny. He has just been granted guardianship of his niece, and and he it's very much grumpy sunshine. So like, try not to like do too heavy on the tropes, but grumpy sunshine nanny situation, and I mean, he is extremely, considering like, for anyone who has read mine, since we were just talking about Kieran Hayes, he is like the grumpiest guy I've ever written. And this new guy, his name's Asher. He might have Kieran beat, and I love it so much. Like, he is one of those guys that like he will just turn and walk away like mid conversation because he's just done talking with you. So I love him so much, and their little banter is, it's a lot of fun.
Now, you have a signing in 2025 in Austin. Be sure you go to that and plan it. Put it in your calendars now, please. But are you excited for what's next?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I'm like so at ease with everything, and I'm so at peace with everything, and I can't wait to see where this path takes me. I've always really loved, I mean, always as in when I first started this. So for the last 12 years, I've really loved this life. I've loved this career. And so I really can't wait to see how it evolves from here.
And do you have anything, if you could say something to your readers, what would you say?
Thank you for always being there.
All right, so that is now the ending of the video. If you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I think that's what you're supposed to say. Be sure to do all those things, and be sure to go follow Molly Barlowe on Instagram. I'll put a picture right on, hopefully, future me, this side. It's going right here. It's gonna go here. Be sure to follow, like, and follow her on Instagram, as well as TK Rapp, and subscribe to this channel. I think I said subscribe twice. Either way.
And our Facebook group. Closed Door
Yes.
Reading.
Yes.
If you are interested, go ahead and go on Facebook and look up what?
Closed Door Reads.
Let's start reading.
There we go. See you in the next video.